Hey everyone, welcome to Atheist Edge. Today we have Scientist Mel again. Well, actually, this is the second time you've been on our show.
I've been on your show, I think 2 times, but
Including
this
this
is the
one.
first. Yeah, I think including this one. So yeah.
And Courtney and I was on your show once.
On Spirited Science.
Michio Kaku, which was
Yes.
that was a great evening. Okay, right off the top, I like to get the plugs out of the way now while everyone is fresh and if anyone drops off later, they're still going to get your plug. So what are you up to? Upcoming events, gigs, projects you're working on, and where can people find you online?
Oh my gosh. So for about a month or so now, I've had a new show called Audacity, which has been so much fun. It's like way more on the comedy side. Doc Savage joins me, and Doc Savage has a history in immunology and helped develop the HPV vaccine. So he brings in some science too, but he's a Scotsman. And you know how Scotsmen are about their humor. It's hilarious. So,
I'm ashamed to admit I have not seen your Audacity yet, but I'm looking forward to it. I got some binging to do.
You should. It's a lot of fun. So it's basically a show, and we call it Audacity because it's a play on one of our favorite trolls, G-Man, who says, instead of audacity, he says audacity.
He does.
And so one of the little segments that we have is a song, a little snippet of a song from Hannibal and Monty's show called the Audacity, and that leads us into stupid things people say on the internet.
Oh.
So, but we decided not to call it Audacity because that's just not creative enough. We called it Audacity because not only do we have the audacity, but we're speaking it. So
brilliant, just brilliant.
Smart people riff on bad science.
I don't have that kind of spontaneous wit to come up with something that clever.
It's so funny. We have different segments. Coming up soon, we have Dr. Leah Torres, who's been on my show This Week in BS before talking about the abortion ban. So she's going to appear on Audacity for the first time. So we're going to basically, I think we're going to verbally vilify vaginal knavery. So we use a lot of alliteration in the titles. So we're smart people. We try to be smart.
What is knavery again? Let me try to remember. Knavery is like thievery, right?
Like trickery or stuff like that, trying to get something from you. So we're going to cover vaginal myths, all kinds of stuff. But we show different videos that we find of just really bad science. So that's coming up. We also have Jeff Holiday, who's going to come up in September on Audacity. And then I have my Saturday morning science is usually the science of, where we just talk about a topic that's voted on by viewers. All of those topics are viewer suggested. Spirited Science is an occasional thing, but you've been on that with Michio Kaku.
Yeah, awesome. That would be great. Yeah, I mean, so that is, so it's a popular choice, like a vote, right? Do you give them possible choices, or people just throw out their ideas?
First, I get like all kinds of ideas, and then I put it in a poll. Mm-hmm. And so usually I'll run polls for a few weeks, and then I'll go and I'll set up several streams. And then I'll put those events in on my YouTube so you can go through and click little reminders. And then you can join us. But all of my topics are viewer generated. And they pick it, and then I throw them in polls, and then I'll kind of put them in the order of how they were voted. Because I don't want anybody to feel like their topic's not going to get talked about.
All right.
Friends always get theirs just slid right into the front. So.
Okay. What's your YouTube channel? What are your other links? And of course, those will be in the description section of this video as well. But where can people find you?
YouTube.com/scientistmel. I also have a website, scientistmel.com. That's where I put all of my slides from my shows. So you can go on scientistmel.com/resources. You can find all of the slides and all of my citations, everything from every show that I've had where I've had a PowerPoint. If you're a teacher, you can download them and show them in your class along with it. So I've had teachers request different topics done, and then I've managed to get those pumped out pretty quickly. I have a shorter version called Scientist Mel Shorts, where it's the shortened version of my live streams. So I try to do those more often. I want to try to make more of those once I get my new computer.
And that's coming up like within, pretty soon, right?
Yes. I had a GoFundMe. Somebody sent me a computer, but unfortunately UPS drove a forklift over it.
Yikes.
I know. And there wasn't any insurance on it. And so that was a problem. So I went on my channel and I put it to Twitter, and I'm like, look, guys, you guys know I had this computer coming in. It was a build that somebody had stuff in their house, and they built this together, and they were, it was a kind gesture. And then UPS ran a truck over it, and apparently cost a lot of money to ship it. So UPS only gave them like $200 for it. And so they ended up keeping the $200. I'm like, that's fine. I'll just sort it out. And so I put up a GoFundMe, and within 24 hours, it was completely funded. It was amazing. I was so overwhelmed. It was like, I was like crying in my coffee. I was so happy this was just last Saturday.
That's incredible. I mean, it's heartbreaking that someone went to the trouble of piecing together a custom build for you and that happened. But yeah, that's a great happy ending at least.
Yes, it is. So,
Wow.
So that was nice of them. And, it didn't quite work out to where we could try to fix it the way it was. There's just lots of not nice things happening. We're like, it's okay. We'll just leave it alone. And so just onwards and upwards. So, so I put the GoFundMe out there, and I'm like, look, guys, this is what happened. And then people just stepped up, and they were like, here, I got you. And I'm just like, I'm going to cry in my coffee. And I kind of do. I had a little cry a little bit right before I went live on that Saturday to tell everybody the news about it.
Well, I can imagine. And as polarized and divisive as even our own community is right now, it's good. We need a little happy news like that right now.
Yeah, it's just wonderful. And there are good people out there. And that's what I try to focus on, are the positive things. Because I don't think people have enough happy news. So,
that would be that just dawned on me. That would be a great idea for a segment, you or I, or something we could work on like that. Just good news segment. But you know what? That wouldn't get probably a lot of views because people love controversy. You know what gets the most views is nasty debates that turn sideways and that kind of shit. But I don't know. Anyway, what is that all you had? Did you have some more places people could find you, or events or anything?
Well, scientistmail.com. I also have a shop if you want. Sometimes what I do is I have a segment of my shop called Blocked By, because people are not nice on the internet sometimes. So I have a whole section of my shop called the Blocked By series, where I take bad behavior on the internet and put it on t-shirts, mugs, and flip-flops. And then I donate the money to like the Trevor Project, ACLU, American Anxiety and Depression Association. I just donate all of the proceeds to various organizations, including Planned Parenthood, all of these different organizations that are on the front lines doing a lot of good. So if you like to wear a t-shirt where you're blocked by Deepak Chopra or David Avocado Wolf or something like that, or a mug, or any other individual that you might have had a tiff with, there might be a t-shirt for you, and then the proceeds go to charity.
Did you think of that on your own?
I did.
Did you get that from somewhere on the internet or something? That is just incredible. That's brilliant.
I thought of that on my own because I get a lot of hate sometimes on the internet, and I'm like, that's fine. I'll just turn it into a t-shirt, sell it, and donate the proceeds to charity, because I like taking something negative and making something positive out of it.
It's owning a negative. It's taking it back.
Yes.
Gosh, damn it. I can't see. I'm not that creative. I got these little, so I go to group PTSD therapy, and I get these little, it's this crisis veteran support line. It's got the 800 number. So if I got any Marine buddies or any service member veteran friends, or even civilians that have been through traumatic, whatever, I walk around and I give them one. That, and we, my local atheist group, we go and pick up litter once a season. So, once every 3 months, we go and pick up litter on a 2-mile stretch of road. And that's the extent of my charitable work, which I need to go out there and do more.
Here, I'll tell you what, if you can think of a design or something to where we can donate to like the veterans organization or the PTSD organization, let me know. I have somebody that does designs for me. I'll throw it on a mug, t-shirt. You can use it on my website. Let me know where, and I'll send the money there to you. I'll send you the statement or whatever you need, whoever you want me to donate the money to, whoever's name.
Yeah, there's something, it's something 22 because the 22 service members take their life every day in America. So
Okay.
something 22, someone in the comment section or in the live chat when this is premiering.
How
Someone,
about Save the 22?
is that, no, there's a actual charity already. It's got 22 in the name.
Oh, okay,
Thinking
okay.
about it. It's to go to survivors of service member suicides. So
Okay.
family members
Okay.
of the suicide victims.
Okay. I will write a note down.
Yeah.
I have a list. Okay. I will write a note down. 22 charity survivors.
Yeah, I forget the name of it. It's got 22 in the name though. Okay. What else you got?
Well, that's what I've got for now. I'm still trying to build some interactive one-on-one online courses for adults. And I'm thinking about branching out into doing like high schoolers to try to give them a jump start in chemistry and biology and different stuff like that. So I've thought about maybe branching out to that. Haven't worked out all the kinks in that. But I would really like to do more with adult outreach to try to help educate adults on just basic freaking things that you kind of lose along the way. Like, what is climate change? What's going on with that? How's that going to affect me financially? Where is it going to hit my pocketbook? Is it going to affect my family? How's it going to affect my job? Just, more practical applications for like the general population on how they can see these different things. So I'm trying to work on a series for that where it's like more of an intensive course type of thing. So there is that. So,
So that's still in the works though. You don't have actual anywhere you can link us to yet?
I am taking enrollment. So that's on my website again, scientistmel.com/masterclass. You can check that out.
Wait, it's not the masterclass.
No. It's not that. It's my own.
Oh, okay.
It's not
because
that.
there is a masterclass site that it's got like, I forget who, but there's some huge names on there. Masterclass, you can learn from the experts.
Oh yeah, no, it's not that.
Oh, okay.
No, I probably should. I just call it Scientist Mel's Masterclass.
Oh, okay. I think you're going to be all right for copyright as long as it's Scientist Mel's Masterclass. Yeah, that should. Yeah. Because it's like one is an actual Apollo pilot that actually went to the moon, and so he teaches a class on the rocket equation. And I don't know how long these classes are, but it's called Masterclass.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Yes, it's not quite that. I have like a little intro too already. So if you go on my website, you can click on see what that looks like.
Okay.
It's kind of neat.
Cool. Let's see. Well, you think about if there's anything that we forgot, Melody. Let me just hit mine real quick. September 6th. We are flying the great John Loftus down from, I think he's in Ohio, but he's going to be down here on September 6th to do an informal sit-down Q&A/debate with an apologetics professor that teaches here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Travis Dickinson. But yeah, yes. John Loftus, who wrote, and every book that he ever wrote is escaping my brain right now. But you know what? I'm going to put them on the screen. Maybe they'll be up on the screen right now. But famous author, famous public speaker, John Loftus will be in town. That will be live on Facebook on September 6th at the Atheist and Christian Book Club Facebook page. Atheist Christian Book Club Facebook page. It'll be live on the evening of September 6th. Then shortly thereafter, a few days after that, it'll be on Atheist Edge as a redo. Also, if you look behind me, you can kind of see it, the In No God We Trust banner. And I don't know if anyone is not familiar with what happened in Fort Worth here recently. We were on every national, international media, news media there was, it seemed like, but we had 66 of these banners flying in downtown Fort Worth, and it caught a lot of help. This is actually, I can't reach back there, but this is actually one of the vandalized ones. It's ripped right down the middle. But I got that as a commemorative, collector's item. It's one of the ones that were shredded up by vandals. But if you want to get your very own, that actually flew over there in Fort Worth, there were 66 of them. I'm sure there's a few left. Go to Metroplex Atheists Facebook page or metroplexatheist.org, and you can order one. I think they're $50. Yeah, $50. That's all I've got. Let's get on with this, Melody. We don't have
All
a
right.
lot of time tonight. Now, I will tell everybody watching that Melody and I have tried to make this happen for maybe 2 weeks at least. And I was about to put her off again. I was about to just sandbag her again because I had been running ragged all day. And I'm about to crash. And I'm about to fall out. And tomorrow's your birthday, so we couldn't do it then.
It is.
Yes. Happy birthday in advance.
Thank you.
You have anything planned?
Gonna just go to brunch. I am doing my live stream in the morning. So, and then after that, gonna head out, have some brunch, and then not do anything for the rest of the day.
Perfect birthday. Go get back in your PJs, put on your slippers, and grab some coffee.
Yes.
I'll
probably do that. I've got my Dark Phoenix this was a present, my Dark Phoenix little pop character.
Is that from a comic book maybe? I don't.
Yeah, this is
Phoenix.
Jean Grey, where she turns into the Dark Phoenix from the end.
Oh boy, okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Interesting. What are we gonna do? Okay, we're just gonna roll right into this. This is we call it Rando Calrissian. It's just random questions, and so they change every time someone actually. Let's say they pick number 12, right? We'll read it. We might keep it on there one more time, but if it gets used more than like once or twice, it's gone, and then we replace it with one. So this tries to stay updated. There's going to be a lot that it's going to sound like something from maybe a year and a half ago. It's going to be some old news. At the time, it was timely, but no one has ever asked. No one's ever asked that number, so it's still in there. Got it?
Okay, got it.
It could be anything from what's your favorite pizza topping to some really hot button issue that you may or may not be comfortable talking about. And if that happens, just say skip it, or you can answer briefly and we can move on to another one. Because some of these are controversial. They're hot button.
Okay.
Oh, general rule is the lower the number, the more hot button they are. I don't know why, but that's kind of how it worked out. All right, pick a number between 1 and 100.
Let's go 37.
Okay.
Kevin Smith number.
Why is it Kevin Smith's number?
It's from the film Clerks.
Was he wearing 37 on his jersey?
No, that had to. It's a sexual innuendo associated with the character and his girlfriend.
I've seen Clerks. I don't remember 30. Oh, anyway, you don't want to explain it.
Look it up.
Okay, I will. I'll make a note of that. Yeah, it's been so long since I've seen Clerks and Chasing Amy and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. And what are the?
They're getting a new reboot film soon. That's going to be released soon. Yeah, new Jay and Silent Bob film. They wrapped filming, I believe.
Crazy. All right. 37. Do you have any natural or holistic alternative healing remedies that really aren't endorsed by science that you swear by, like maybe the ones I just listed, a meditation, hypnosis, acupuncture, chiropractic, or mustard on an insect bite, or little home remedies that probably are dubious? Yeah.
Well, I would have to say, I kind of disagree that meditation isn't backed by science to a degree, because I actually have anxiety. I'm pretty open about the fact sometimes I get crippling anxiety, and some of the things I have to do is kind of shift the way my brain's thinking, and sometimes meditation helps with that. It doesn't always, but it kind of does, syncing my breathing with something, so that the traditional, let's sit cross-legged and face east and go om. Yeah, I don't do that. I get an app on my phone and I go, okay, gonna follow the breathing app. Breathing in, hold it, and breathe it out. I do sleep stories and stuff at night, and some people might think that's pretty lame. I like ASMR. That's not effective for everybody, but it works for me. I love listening to certain sounds. I get the little tingles. It makes me feel better. I'm highly receptive to that. Probably, I don't know, probably a woo kind of thing is I'm very empathetic to a degree. I used to think that I was like some kind of magical empath to where I could sense the negativity in a room and, you know, stuff like that. But what I've come to learn about myself is that I am very receptive to other people's feelings, that I do tend to take them on, but that's not necessarily an energy transference woo thing so much as I start to feel how other people, which is why I don't watch certain movies. I'm terrible to go to a horror film with. I'll be screaming and crying in the theater too. So, but I don't know. It's just, I don't know if that answers the question or not.
Well, one thing you said about meditation interested me. Okay, I will preface it by saying when I wrote this is one of the older questions, and it's the first time we've ever asked anyone this one. So I don't know why I put conspiracy theory on it. This is like definitely alternative, naturalistic, holistic type of healing.
Right.
But when I wrote that, I know for a fact that I was much more skeptical of meditation than I am now, because I've since downloaded the Calm and the Headspace, and I do a walking meditation when I'm walking my dogs. Now, what I'm going to ask you is, I see a limited benefit, but it does have benefits, so I was wrong. Sam Harris's extent of benefits, I think, is complete horseshit. So there's I think it's somewhere in between, not at all, no efficacy whatsoever, and the way Sam Harris makes it out to be like some sort of cure-all. Right. So what tangible benefits do you see that could actually be measured through meditation?
Well, okay. So I still go to therapy sometimes, you know, and so that's something that I've worked with my therapist, trying to shift the way that your thoughts are going. So when I have anxiety, sometimes it's just like, oh, why am I you know, you have like, it feels like you're walking down the street and you're like, something awful is about to happen. Why am I feeling this way? Everything's great. The sun's out. And then just boom, there's that kind of anxiety. And then there's the crippling anxiety to where it just is, you start spiraling and it's like, I can't form sentences. My brain is racing 1,000 times a minute and I can't get a grasp. It's like that spinning merry-go-round in the playground and it's going so fast and you're trying to slow it down because kids are on it and you're like, oh my God. You know? So that's kind of like my brain when I'm like in a full-on crippling anxiety mode. So I have to stop the spin. So
you explain it so vividly. I have no concept of what you have that could possibly feel. I have no point of reference, but the way you explained it, I mean, yeah, I kind of empathize with you.
Yeah. So if your brain is going through, and it's kind of feels like if you don't have something wrong for it to fixate on and just start going, well, then this will happen, then this will happen, and this will happen, then this will happen, then this will happen. If it doesn't have a thing to fix on, sometimes your body will start reacting like you're in danger. And then your brain will try to catch up to find a reason why your body's acting that way. And so it's one or the other with me. It doesn't happen very often because I've learned to recognize, okay, I'm about to have a full on. So I need to grab my app and go, I need to meditate and focus on this particular thing and just, you know, and try to gain some control before I start to spiral. And then once I'm able to say, okay, I'm focused on this, focused on this for a little while. Now I can move on. Now let me put on my shoes. So, you know, something like that. So it allows me to kind of keep the spinning from happening. Now, if the spinning's going on, it takes a lot longer to just, you know, okay. Now I'm just listening to this voice. That's all I'm doing is listening to this voice. Okay.
Okay, so as a control mechanism, if you didn't use the app, would it be a noticeable difference? Could you 100% guarantee somebody who is a little bit doubtful and was thinking about maybe using that as a remedy, you could let them know, listen, this works. Do this.
This is where it gets weird because people are different. There are, for instance, like I listen to, because my brain will do that at night. My brain will be like, hey, let's think about all these 9,000 things right when you're about to go to sleep. And I'm like, oh, crap. So there are sleep stories that say, okay, now we're going to lie down. Now you're going to feel this way. Then your shoulder's going to do this. And then it goes through these series of events, the kind of same type of dialogue. And then they go into the story. Certain voices are like nails on a chalkboard. Do not work for me at all. They're just that this woman pops. I'm like, oh my God. Oh, and I'll be like, no. So there's very specific people I can listen to at night when I go to sleep. Otherwise, I'm just. No. So it's highly individual, but I find that focusing on the thing. There's one thing that I did in meditation, particularly when I was exhibiting some PTSD symptoms when I was assaulted. And I just couldn't control. I would sit and I would just start crying. And I wasn't sad. I wasn't sobbing. Tears were just coming out of my face. And I'm like, I'm at my job right now. And my body was responding to this unresolved trauma. And so I'm like, I've got to go to the doctor. I'm like, there's something going on here. I'm sitting here doing my job and my eyes are just, it's like I'm bawling, but I'm not. I'm just like talking like this in my tears. Like I can't, I'm shaking. I'm like, okay. And this would be around large crowds, particularly large groups of men, because it was a man who assaulted me. So this was happening on a regular basis. So one of the things they did is kind of meditation-like for me was, what is your favorite place in the world? And I'd go, okay, I love the Natural History Museum in London. Automatically, that's what I said. Just automatically. Okay, close your eyes. What does it sound like? Are there any smells? Are there a lot of people there? Which part of the museum are you in? What colors are there? What are you looking at now? So it took all of these different senses, pulled them all together, and it forced me to go, okay, I can hear a school group walking through in the back. I'm in the Darwin Center. There's the death jars there. There's my favorite plant they have, because they have all kinds of almost so many species just in jars, and it's quiet there. Over there is the big, huge, giant egg thing where they have the mosquito exhibit. You go that way, there's the Attenborough Theater. You go over to the right, you're going to end up in the blue section. So I would go through and do that. So it forced me to ground myself and get control and say, this is what I'm thinking about right now. And it's my favorite place in the world, Natural History Museum in London. I've not been anywhere else where I did not feel like, okay, I could live here.
But is that just kind of a distraction to make you just forget about the anxiety issues you're having currently at that time? Is that what it's designed to do?
I think what it's designed to do is, because of the fact, if you're out and about, and it works for me particularly for my anxiety too, you just have a reaction to something. Sometimes it just hits you and there's no particular rhyme or reason or trigger that you could see coming. That kind of brings you back out of that. And you're like, okay, I'm all right. There's nothing happening. And it allows you to kind of go, okay, and then once you regain, you can write down what was going on when you had your attack and then check on it later.
Okay. I guess when I first lumped hypnotism in with all other the woo-woo, I had this idea of not hypnotism, meditation. I had this idea that it purported to do more than it does. Mm-hmm. As long as you keep it in context, meditation can help with, like you said, your anxiety issues. It can help focus. It can, the breathing exercise can help you just calm down and
lower your heart rate.
Yes. So that, okay, there are some tangible things, but they're not the promises aren't as big as I thought originally.
Right. Meditating's not going to get rid of your cancer. It's not going to.
Well, somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Some happy medium. Let's say meditation is not going to increase longevity. It's not going to make you an inch taller. It's, like the people the gurus that can, it's definitely not going to make you levitate. You're not going to, one leg's not going to, you know, if one leg's shorter than the other, it's not going to grow to meet your other leg. And
right. But, you know, it might reduce your stress. It might allow you an opportunity to kind of just, you know, collect yourself and give yourself a moment to just sit, breathe, and go, okay. Particularly like if you have like PTSD symptoms or you have anxiety and sometimes it just hits you and there's no rhyme or reason and you can't sort it out and you just got to kind of cope with it. It's a good way to kind of bring yourself back from spiraling into a full panic attack, which can happen if it's allowed to continue. It's kind of like the little angry toddler that's like, okay, I'm angry, just, you know, you kind of want to stop before you get to the full-on fit in the middle of the candy store. If you're like, okay, what can we do to kind of prevent that from happening? So if it starts to edge towards that, you can go, okay, I need to calm down right now.
Right.
So I'm gonna breathe,
yeah.
come back here, we're all right.
I just thought of a dubious meditation claim that originally made me say, well, it's all horseshit. It was, you know,
right.
Baby with the bathwater kind of thing, but it was this tapping into divine, like a hive consciousness, a divine consciousness, a universal consciousness, where maybe it could promote maybe even what's it called, where you can talk to telekinesis? Is that no, not telekinesis?
Not telekinesis,
where you can talk to each other with your minds, that kind of thing. Telepathy. You can maybe read each other's minds. You could talk to each other without talking, that kind of shit. Or you could tap into some universal cosmic consciousness and then see how we are all one. You're one with the oak tree and the you know, the apricot.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah, that's complete horseshit.
Yeah, that's You know, those people that are really good at that are what we call really good cold readers. You know, like sit there, I bet right now you're thinking this. Like, oh my God, you encounter enough people and you learn enough about individuals and you know their body, their body movements, and if they lean in, they sit back, what they do when they lie, that sort of thing. So if you're able to kind of read a person and, you know, and you kind of know like the standard behaviors. I mean, magicians do that all the time. They can usually guess what number you're going to say, you know, based on just the kind of person you are. You know,
right.
It's like statistics. It's not a mind reading thing, but that comes across on that. I've been here for a few years. I don't rely on YouTube ad revenue because most of the time I get demonetized because I do talk about controversial things.
And are you worried about here coming up? They're going to start. There's a big push to just not even give you warnings, to just start cutting channels away if they deal with anything that involves hate speech, where like you and me could fall into that because we address hate speech. Therefore, sometimes they might consider us a hate speech type of channel. And I feel like we're on the chopping block, or possibly.
You know, I'm almost at the point I've tried so hard with YouTube. You know, I'm kind of like, I started on Periscope. I technically get more views on Periscope than I do YouTube. And I don't do this for the huge amount of money. I guess I could if I really, you know, but I have a day job too. And once I get my computer, I'll be able to do more videos as far as editing and stuff like that. And I used to make short films, so it's not something that's outside of my skill set. But it's just, I was reluctant to go to YouTube, and then now I'm just like,
I didn't know you had that kind of a background. This being a YouTuber is kind of right in your wheelhouse then. See, I had to start from a huge learning curve. And I feel like I only know 1% of what I should actually know.
As far as streaming, that's all new to me.
Yeah.
Making short films in advance, editing, that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, I've had short films in festivals. I used to make short films out in Las Vegas for a little while. Yeah,
I know you were an international model because that was in one of our you won't believe episodes. Go look at that.
Art was on Oral Audacity.
Oh, he was just on. How did that go?
Oh, that was great. That was a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Artist working atheist in the business.
He was so funny. And, you know, Oral Audacity is a comedy show. And I told him it's just really easygoing and funny. And it's a comedy show. So I had the video of me calling Kent Hovind where I called him on a live stream. I'm like, we're just going to go through this, and I'm going to let you hear what he says and see if that sounds familiar. And if you want to break it apart, let me know. He was just like, gosh, this. And I'm like, I know, I sat through this. I just talked to him the whole time. He answered the phone.
And when Arn gets relaxed, he is one funny motherfucker.
He
People
really
don't really know that usually because, all his videos are, very stoic and very scripted. But he comes to our studio and he just has a blast.
Oh, gosh, he was so funny. I have a segment on Oral Audacity called Is It Real or Nah? And then I have a character named Karen who's an Animoji. So she's this animated head. And she presents these pseudoscience products. And you have to guess if it's a real product or not. And so Arn's like, no, that can't be a real product. I'm like, okay, let's have a look. Like, it is a real product. There is a wand that's made out of copper and something else that gets rid of chemtrails. He goes, that doesn't look like a wand. It looks like something else. I'm like, yeah, it looks like a sex toy.
And you know what? If it's purported to get rid of chemtrails, it actually works. Because there are no chemtrails, so yeah.
There are none. So that was fun. So going through all that with him, he said Karen just gets on his nerves. He was like, because there are women who sound like this. Karen is this blonde, kind of almost Gwyneth Paltrow type, but not quite attractive, missing eyebrows. Like, okay, hi, my name is Karen, and oh my God, I was like, and he's just like, oh. He's like, this woman sounds. It sounds very real, but Karen tends to have a thing for Doc, but Karen did hit on Arn a little bit. I'm like, so you like Star Trek? I'm into Klingons. You ever dress up as a Klingon? You should send me pictures sometimes.
He would make a great Klingon. Actually.
He apparently has cosplayed as a Klingon. So, and Karen's like, you should send me pictures for science, of course.
For science, right? That's a great idea, Melody. I got to go and watch that now. Man, I got so many things to do after this. After every episode, I have a to-do list a mile long, and honestly, I won't get through half of them.
That's okay.
Editing takes forever. Okay, number between 1 and 100.
Okay, how about 42?
Now, remember, it's not a hot button because I highlighted the hot button issues. All right.
Huh?
It's 42 is only for believers. So let me see if I can reword this. No, there's no. Okay. Pretend you're put your Christian hat on.
Okay.
All right. Pretend you're a Christian. You're going to answer it as a Christian, and then we can shit talk it. Let's see. Stephen Weinberg once said, "Good people do good things, and evil people do evil things. But for good people to do evil things, that takes religion. Can you name a good action that can only be done by a believer?"
Okay, good action that can only be done by a believer.
And I've heard this answered once before. Someone said praying. That's the closest I've gotten to someone actually being able to answer that.
See, that's what I was going to go with. Staying up all night and praying for somebody. When I went to, I was brought up Nazarene. So if you hadn't checked that Protestant faith out, go check that one. Quite oppressive, particularly to the women. Not quite Pentecostal, not quite Baptist. It's kind of in between the two.
There's a difference between Nazarite and Nazarene. And when Jesus was a Nazarite, I forget.
He was a Nazarene, I thought.
See, that's a false.
He was from Nazareth.
No. See, well, one of them means you're from Nazareth. And the other one means is a sect. I think the Nazarenes were a sect. And it's a false correlation in the Bible. People think that it means he was from Nazareth, but Nazarenes were an actual cult sect around first century that never cut their hair. They always wore the bare bones clothes. They showed no signs of wealth. So so there's
look up the Protestant faith Nazarene. It's kind of Tanya Harding was a Nazarene.
How did that work out for her?
Winning for the home team there, busting them kneecaps. She must have prayed really hard.
Oh.
You can't. I mean, but then I can't. I've looked top to bottom for this particular case. There was a woman My mother told me this, and I believe it actually. There's a woman, and I'm trying to find where that was. But if you look up Nazarene and murder, you should get all kinds of interesting stories. But I had heard, and I still have yet to find it, and I probably haven't dug far enough, is that there's, and this makes sense to me because this is what they would think. You don't divorce in the Nazarene faith. You just don't do it. And so there was an abusive relationship. This is what the story is. Again, not certain because I haven't found the story yet, but like the news story, there is a woman, my mother claimed that there was a woman who was a Nazarene, and her husband was abusive, and she just was sick of it and killed him because she couldn't divorce him because the church would excommunicate her.
And you grew up in this from what age range?
From the time I was little to about teens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that when the light bulb started to come on? Is that when you lost your faith?
Oh, the light bulb was always on. I was the kid that asked all the questions nobody wanted to answer.
Right. But did you go straight from Church of the Nazarene to leaving religion altogether, or was some sort of transition?
No, I was like, this isn't for me. So then I tried Baptist for a while. I'm like, yeah, I don't like this either. Then I tried Lutheran for a bit. Then I tried Pentecostal for a bit. Like, yeah, I don't like this either. I ended up being Catholic. Catholic is a very pretty faith. I think people don't give it enough credit. There's a lot of ritual. You feel like you're doing something, kind of like, and, people throw shade at voodoo, but, Catholics like candles, they eat bodies, they drink blood, and I know, and all the pedo stuff.
Oh no, incense. I didn't say incense.
Oh, incense.
Yeah, all the incense, it smells real good in the cathedrals. Yeah.
And then you say these words. Sometimes you say them in Latin and you're like, oh my gosh, it's like I'm doing a spell. I actually tried Santeria for a while. I had an altar. This is a story I tell sometimes in different channels. I had an altar in my house that was an old church organ. Okay, I had an altar in my house that was old church organ. This is something that Christians can get away with because I still claimed to be a Christian at the time, because you can have saints candles all up down on here. So I had like Saint Michael, and I had all this stuff, and I had them covered with oil, and they smelled so nice, and you had this smoke coming off. You can get away with that if you're like, oh yeah, that's if you have these saint candles on there, but it deters some people, like the wrong people, that easily are like, oh my God, particularly ones that want to do you harm. It was actually a great deterrent for that. I'm like, that's my voodoo altar. They would run away. Well, voodoo, you kind of walk the line a little bit, Santeria.
Yeah, if you started out Nazarene and eventually gravitated towards Catholicism, they're both big on excommunication and couples staying together. Yes. Divorce. So yeah, it makes kind of sense. Divorce is shunned.
Yeah. So I think a thing that you can do good because of religion is being able to have an altar in your house on a church organ and put lots of saint candles on there and say, this is keeping the bad spirits away. And it actually kind of works sometimes with people, manifested in people.
That's why I love this segment, because nowhere else would I have heard that. I mean, I would never have gotten that answer from anyone else. That's definitely unique. All right, let's do one more. And then I got something at the end for us. So number between 1 and 100.
Okay. I will do number 13.
Now, remember I said
lucky 13.
The lower numbers are.
I know.
Yes, it is.
I could have gone with 7.
Oh, it's not a hot button. Okay. Let's see if, the number 7 was a definite controversial hot button. So do you want 7 or 13? 7. 13 is anodyne. Which do you still want to stick with 13?
Well, I kind of. Well, that's the one I said first, so I don't know. I don't know. Go. You can pick. I'll let you pick. How about that?
Well, as much stress. Okay, we talked off camera just now. Melody we're both dealing with some internal atheist community, just bullshit, and it's different in both our cases, but it's stuff that is just petty that I would prefer to rise above. But at the time when it's happening to you, it feels like it takes up so much of your time, and it's so hard to break away and just say, this is horseshit. It's taking my time away. I'm going to focus on positive things. So as much as you and I have been through this week, let's just stick to number 13. We don't need any more controversy right now. Okay.
Well,
what was the last concert you attended? And then what was the first concert you ever went to?
oh my God, the last concert I went to was Weezer, and the Pixies opened for them.
Ooh, I like Weezer, and Pixies are good too.
Oh my
your last
God.
So that was that was the last one you went to? That was a small venue, since they're not
no.
like, wait, Weezer's still pretty big nowadays.
Yeah, they went on tour. This was just this past, when was it? Like just a few months ago, I went to the Weezer concert, and it's a stadium tour. They had the Pixies open for them. And they had their Teal album, which was a bunch of covers from the 80s. And so, they did the Africa cover and Take On Me by Aha. And then they covered all their stuff. It was amazing. I was just, oh God, it was amazing. The one before that was 9 Inch Nails. That was a small venue.
Oh, now we're talking.
Oh my goodness.
Let me say one thing about Weezer and that Africa cover. If you're going to cover a song, put your own unique band spin on it. Don't try to sound exactly like the original, because we already have the original. It sounds too much like the original. Put your own flavor to it. No, it's not better. It's not worse, because it sounds basically the same to me.
It sounds so different to me. But
really?
But I have a musical background, so little nuances are different. I experience music differently, I think.
I have no concept of. I played trombone, baritone, and tuba in high school, but yeah, I mean, any nuances, minutia of music or intricacies, is lost on me. I will defer to you on that. What was the first concert you went to?
Oh, if it was in the womb, that would be Kiss.
In the womb, no. First one you actually went to.
went to probably Sha Na Na. I was a wee lass.
Interesting.
Little bitty. Yeah.
They actually toured, huh? I thought they were just kind of a mock, like a parody band.
No, they
like
toured.
Spinal Tap.
They were kind of like, I think they were very popular with the film Grease.
Yeah.
And so after that came out, they went on like this little tour, I guess, kind of with, I think they had, I barely remember it. Mm-hmm. I remember meeting Bowser prior to the concert, and he had an afro. So
that's the lead singer, right?
He would go the bow wow wow. That dude.
Yeah.
Yes, Bowser, I think was his name. So he has a natural afro, and so that's how I saw him. I think I was in a stroller. I was just like, oh my God.
And you still have memories of it. That's insane.
And he greased his hair back, and I was just like, wow. Because I was brought up on musicals in my house, so I can recite Grease front to back. Grease, all of those. I mean, that's what we used to do in car trips, is we would each take a role on road trips, and then we would go through the entire film Grease.
Have you seen the Book of Mormon yet?
I have not. I've heard some of the music, though.
Really? That would, as far as musical goes, that's one that I wouldn't mind seeing, I guess. Everyone loves it that has seen it, of course, but
I used to really be big into musicals, and then I've just kind of gotten less interested in them. Like The Greatest Show on Earth, or The Showman, or whatever, the Hugh Jackman film. I had no idea that was a musical, and I was not prepared. So I'm sitting there with people, and I'm like, gosh, I have to prepare myself to come to a musical. Like, This is going to be crap the whole time, because not mentally prepared for this. They're breaking the fourth wall and the third wall. Oh my God. I'm not ready.
Well, the fourth wall is when you're aware of the audience, right? Is that the fourth wall? And
I think that's the fourth wall.
Then what's the fifth wall? I've heard the fifth wall. Like, not only are you aware of the audience, you're aware that you're talking to the audience, or it goes another level. Like you're acting, and you're letting the audience know you're aware they're there, and then you go back to acting, knowing that they know that. Anyway, there's a fifth wall.
Yeah. Now the fifth wall can be done well. There's a show on Amazon called Fleabag. Amazing show. fifth wall stuff, knows the audience is there, interacts, and then, you know, does that and then carries on. And other people like, who are you talking to? People. And she keeps going. It's fantastic. She does it so brilliantly. But yeah, I have to be prepared to sit through a musical. And I didn't watch the Cats trailer because I hate that freaking music. I've seen that musical and I'm like, this is garbage. The sets are beautiful. The costume design is beautiful. The abilities of the dancers are beautiful. I just don't care about it. The music's great. I can listen to the soundtrack. Go, wow, I like that song. Wow, I like that song. But man, don't make me sit through Cats.
I couldn't do that. I had
a migraine.
Oh, yeah.
Like a migraine. I don't get those, but I had one by the time I was done with the Cats musical in the theater.
Yep. Yeah, I can see that. Now, refresh my memory, Melody. I think when I was on your show, I managed to shoehorn in the question I always ask all our guests that come on our show. And since you've been on our show once before, I'm sure I've asked it. So have I asked you the question we always ask every guest? The one that I tailored to whether you're a believer or a non-believer. In your case, I would ask you if there was absolute ironclad 100% proof that Yahweh, the God of the Old and New Testament exists, how would it change your life? Did I ask you that one?
I don't think you have.
Oh, well, that's the final question. So if the debate is over, atheists lose, we know, everyone knows for a fact, everyone on earth knows that Yahweh exists now, just as the Bible says, like it or not. How would it change your life starting right now? What would you do differently? Would you worship him? Would you still rebel against him?
Okay. So if we had ironclad evidence, if Yahweh came down and said, I'm here, I'm here, I'm not going anywhere. Okay, fantastic. I don't know that it would change my life too much. I would like to have a conversation with Yahweh, whether if Yahweh was in the form of Alanis Morissette from Dogma, that might work.
Yes.
Hopefully Alan Rickman is still around to be the voice of God so I could talk to him. That'd be great.
The Metatron.
The Metatron.
That was a great movie.
It really was. So I would probably be like, okay, so let me, I have some questions. And I would think in my mind, if God is real, God gave me a brain, God would appreciate any and all questions that I have. And if God was like, okay, I'm going to answer some questions, but I want you to figure some of these out on your own, I would appreciate that. But like, could you at least give me a hypothesis, a possible answer that I could test and find out? I mean, give me a direction.
A direction.
A direction.
Yeah.
And I will go and I'll figure this answer out. You don't have to tell me. But I would still want some answers. And if God was like, well, part of this is I want you to learn and grow, I'd be like, okay, I respect that. But can you at least give me which direction do I need to go? Do you think would be the best way for me to find this particular answer? But I think I'd go at it as a scientist approach. And I think that if God is real and God is around, I think that God would appreciate that.
A scientist, Mel, your moniker. I have to ask the obvious question then. Science is a tool. It might not be the only tool. I would maybe count philosophy and mathematics in there too. But science is the best tool humans have for understanding, observing, and testing the natural world, the natural universe. If in this scenario, and provided God is open to Q&A, would there be less of a need for science? Would you still not lionize science, but would it still be as necessary a tool as it is now?
I think so. In that, if we were to take the past and go, okay, God has been pretty quiet in many regards. We can't expect God to answer all the questions for us. God came down and said, I'm real. And then why haven't you helped out with this? Well, I gave this person a brain. I gave that person a brain. I gave free will. I gave all this other stuff. I would still expect God to just take a step back and just say, have at it. to a degree, because that's kind of been the history of what God has done. So science would still be necessary in a world with God given his or her. I'll just say her. I'll make everybody mad. God is a woman.
Okay.
Because the default biological sex is woman. You have a Y chromosome that says don't be a woman.
That's true. I think we all start out female for a brief period of time. Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody's a woman for a little bit until that Y chromosome kicks in and says, don't be a girl.
Mm-hmm.
Start growing testicles.
Yeah, that's a good answer. But you also said that you would hope that God at least nudges the scientific community in towards the right answer. Maybe give us a little a direction.
Give us something in that they've been quiet for so long. Yeah. You know, say, hey, you're here. What are you going to say? If out of God's mouth says my favorite ice cream is Oreos or cookies and cream or something, I'm gonna be like, dude.
Good.
That's
answer.
all you have to say.
Good answer. Okay. We're going to do short plugs at the end in case anyone missed it at the front. So give me your lowdown. Talk about that oral audacity just a little bit more. And where can people find you?
All right. So Sundays, 3 p.m. Central, we stream the oral audacity. Do you have it? Because we do. We don't only have the audacity, but we speak it. Or audacity. So we basically, smart people riff on bad science. So Doc joins me. He's absolutely funny. He doesn't pull any punches. So if something's utter garbage, he will sit there and he will rip it apart in the most comedic way possible. We have different segments on that show that are really fun. We have Is It Real or Not? We have our own resident message therapist. So who comes in and gives us our message therapist of the day thing. Usually it's a product for $19.95. Just give them their money. Yeah, that's what they want. But it's basically a comedy show that just kind of pokes fun at the utter ridiculous stuff that's being passed off as science. Last week we talked about goop, which is fun. Previous week was R and Raw. Coming up, we have Dr. Leah Torres, who is an OBGYN, and she's been on podcasts like with Amanda Palmer's podcast. She's been on my show before, and she's coming back again to talk about myths associated with reproduction, vaginal myths. We're going to talk about lady bits and what not to shove in them. So in case you're worried.
The goop, it piqued my curiosity. I'm going to look into that. That's a line of products that Gwyneth Paltrow puts out that's just woo-woo, right? Okay. Yes. Also, are you still doing the Women of Deconversion with the other ladies or no?
I am. I'm still on Women of Deconversion with them. And I think they might shift. I think it's the first Monday of each month. They had technical difficulties because Hangouts has changed on YouTube.
Right. That's why we're doing Zoom right now.
So she's working on that, Christina's.
And I heard you guys were branching. There was just so many ladies now that you were going to split into two groups, and there was going to be a first Wednesday of every month on top of the Mondays.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's newer people in the community.
All right. And so that is on Secular Hangouts channel usually, right?
Yes.
So I'll put that in the description as well.
I do appear on a show. This is a fairly new thing. I'm probably going to stick around a bit on Beamselbub's channel. They have called the Seven Princes of Hell. Apparently, I am Osmodeus, which is the demon of lust, which is interesting. I was the last person to join the show. Everybody else got to pick one of their seven princes. They're like, here you go, Mel. Here's their last one. You get to be the demon of lust. I'm like, fantastic.
Well, how does the show go down? Like, what do you talk about?
Well, last episode, we talked about the different things that each particular Prince of Hell does. And so I got into how Osmodeus looks, the different things that he did. At one point in time, he snuck into Solomon's castle, in temple or whatever, moved Solomon 400 miles away, pretended to be Solomon, and slept with all his wives for a while.
I think that might be a blessing in disguise, to borrow a term, but your scientific backgrounds, human sexuality, to be able to talk about lust and sexuality, that might be a good fit.
It might be, so that there's a lot of crossover there. I can throw in a bit, and you can have a lust for knowledge, and so you can have that too. So I do that, and then when we're talking about Goop, we're the Oral Audacity show. It's a bit more cheeky. It is a bit more sweary. My other shows, we don't swear as much. It's a bit more, middle range group. But Oral Audacity is meant to be just a really silly, cheeky type of show. So there's swearing. Somebody asked me different, when we got to a section where we were talking about sex toys that you can buy on Goop, came up. Somebody asked, what's the best way to clean sex toys? I'm like, well, here you go. And so we're very forthright and honest, and we give good answers. We give good oral.
That's good.
We give good oral on our show,
Well, some of the shows on some of the shows I've seen on some of the women in deconversion shows you guys do get a little risque as well.
Sometimes.
They get a little, kind of need a cold shower afterwards sometimes.
Sometimes, people are very open and forthright. And, it's not a bad thing. We should have, good conversations about different obstacles. And I think that's kind of what Women in Deconversion is. And Oral Audacity is a comedy show. And sometimes we talk about lady bits like we're going to talk about soon. And what not to put in there because it's not good for you.
Yeah. The project you're working on that you're already taking applications for, the master classes. So what kind of ballpark, when do you see that up and running?
I'm hoping to get that within the next 3 to 6 months. What I need to do is spend more time kind of getting the word out, kind of gauge what interest there is there. That's more of a practical application of different science concepts. And then there are more intensive courses, like if you want to learn more about quantum stuff or what CRISPR is and things like that. Yes, you can Google this stuff and get open courseware on MIT. But what's different is it's like this setup where we're interactive and we're engaging, and I have more materials for you and I send them to you. So it's very much like a teaching type of
proper classroom.
It's like a proper classroom.
I'm assuming there's maybe a minimal cost associated with this, right?
Right. There is a cost associated with that. And then, but you can check it out, scientistmail.com/masterclass. There are discounts, the more classes you get, but I don't think they're unreasonable. And we're talking like 2-week courses. It's not like I have to dedicate a month of my life to this. No, it's kind of like taking the meat of stuff and going over the basic concepts. And I would schedule the classes according to people's schedules. So, if you're a daytime person that works during the day, then we would set up evening times and stuff like that.
Yeah. Are you the only one teaching this, or are you putting out your feelers for other experts to join in?
I'm trying to get other experts to join in. So that's why it's taking a bit longer, because I'm not an expert in quantum. I can teach to a degree, particularly when we get into quantum chemistry. Masters in chemistry, I can kind of do that. But I'm hoping to bring in more people. And, and Doc Savage I've mentioned it to him once, and he's like, hey, he's got feelers across academia. Maybe there's something we can do to where we can bring somebody in to have a class like that, which would be really cool.
If you're not limited to just rigorous science topics, I would be willing to throw my expertise in for free. So consider that. Cool. I can teach a 2-week class up to intermediate level Spanish. Intermediate, like level 1300 rating. I can get someone up to a 1300 rating in chess. I can get them past the 800 rating, like all the major Orthodox openings. And I can teach.
That's cool.
Now it might be a little bit harder through this type of format, but I can get someone to. It would be longer than a 2-week course, but up to and including advanced level unarmed combat. So I got those 3 skills. So keep your eyes open. Cool. All right. So I
will keep my eyes open, and I'll make a list.
I am a women's self-defense and rape prevention instructor as well.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Throwing that out there. Yes.
Don't forget, we've got to figure out which charities, and if you want to put some gear for your show, and then we can make designs and stuff and donate it to the 22 charity.
But we have to find now, in line with that line of merch you're doing, we have to find blocked by someone. I've been blocked by plenty of people, so we could. Is that how you do it? You find someone you were blocked by? Like
sometimes, but what I do is that's more of like a blanket term, because I had I put underneath that series, I had Pride merchandise. And then what I did is I put it in that category because all of those proceeds went to the Trevor Project. So it doesn't matter. You don't have to be blocked by somebody. I just kind of group it all into that anyway.
What about some ignorant bigot that may think that military suicides shouldn't, or military depression and PTSD shouldn't be covered by the VA and through taxpayer money, and that it should be privatized, something like that?
Yeah, we could find it's just, we could take something somebody says and turn it into a slogan, like that's the stupid idea of man up, and all that kind of crap.
You got it. That's perfect. That's perfect. Well, we can definitely find that.
Yeah, so find something like that where they should just man up. What's wrong with them? They've been to war, something along those lines. We can take that, turn it into some kind of logo thingy, put it on stuff, and then donate the money.
Great idea.
To that. So, yeah.
All right, Scientist Mel, thank you for your time, and don't be a stranger. And we hope to have you back on very soon.
Yes, that'll be great. Come back to my show. It was awesome.
Sure will. We'll have to find another a scientist, and I'll bring one of my co-hosts with me if we can.
Yay.
All right. Take care now.